ICE is making some major policy changes following two deadly shootings in the past week, one in Maine and one in Texas. DHS says every ICE arrest team will have at least one agent equipped with a body camera, plus multiple law enforcement sources tell CBS News that ICE will halt most vehicle stops nationwide. Meanwhile, just hours ago, the President of the United States called one of those changes a mistake. In a post on Truth Social, the president said in part, "We cannot give up on one of ICE's most important and effective crime-fighting tools, the traffic stop. Once we do, we are playing right into the criminals' hands." Close quote. Meanwhile, demonstrators gathered in parts of Maine yesterday to protest against Monday's killing of a 25-year-old Colombian national. A home security camera captured the sound of 5 gunshots when an ICE agent fatally shot the man inside his car. Let's bring in CBS News national correspondent Lilia Luciano, who's in Biddeford, Maine. So, Lilia, we know that there were no body cameras on any of those agents during that stop that killed that man in Maine. What are you learning more about the incident there from people who may have witnessed it?
Well, Vlad, I have spoken to several people who either captured the video in their surveillance cameras or people who showed up immediately after it happened. I know that there are at least 1 or 2 people who may have witnessed the actual shooting. We have been trying to find those people. I know one of them does not want to speak. It's unclear whether that person is talking to authorities. This comes from other witness accounts, people who talked to each other when it all happened. I learned from one witness who showed up right after he heard the gunshots. He came down. He said that the officer who he believed shot Guerrero was being kind of calmed down by another officer, but that he made some kind of comment along the lines of he was or something about the car possibly launching at him, or I can't remember the exact words, but this is something that this person told me that the officer had told him. This is all hearsay. These are all accounts from people who may have seen something, who may have doubts about what they saw. What we have seen are the seconds after the car enters the intersection where another ICE or officer vehicle ultimately pins the car that Guerrero was driving and stops it from going in slow circles. What people here have told me is, look, it seems, and of course we put side by side the timelines of these surveillance cameras, which are not body cams, as you said, and it sounds like there are the gunshots, and then a few seconds later you see what looks like Guerrero possibly losing control of the vehicle, and that's why he's going around in circles. The Maine Attorney General is investigating. The FBI has been involved since the beginning. There are other agencies like the DHS Office of the Inspector General that's supposed to look into it. There is the congressional the Maine lawmakers are all talking about, and this is a bipartisan ask, the importance of there being a thorough investigation, including Senator Susan Collins. But the questions that are coming up now is, what is ICE doing to hold officers accountable? The body cameras are a really important aspect of these investigations. And what we know, as you mentioned, is there's going to be, moving forward, 1 body camera. Half of the ICE field offices are supposed to have them. The rest are supposed to arrive in 60 days. But over here where we are in this vigil and here in Biddeford, people are calling for more than just body cameras. They're calling for change in policy, for more training, and many of the protesters we've heard from are just saying that ICE should no longer exist as an agency.
All right, Lilia Luciano covering all the angles in Maine. Thank you so much. Let's now bring in CBS News Homeland Security correspondent Nicole Sganga. Nicole, I've been reading all of your reporting on this topic, all of the emails that you've been sending. Tell us more about the policy changes to come, and what should have been the status on body cameras with ICE? Were they supposed to be rolled out before? Has that been incomplete? Tell us more on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's break it down one at a time, right? We have seen 3 major policy changes over the past week or so from the Department of Homeland Security, now led by Secretary Mark Wayne Mullen. First and foremost, yesterday we learned that there will be a temporary pause for most vehicle stops and pursuits by ICE ERO, enforcement and removal operations teams nationwide. Now, what does that mean? We're talking about immigration agents within ICE who are now no longer stopping vehicles and arresting individuals who are here. Simply, the only thing that they have done wrong is that they are here illegally in the United States. Now, there is a carve out for that new temporary policy, which is if there's a judicial warrant out for someone's arrest for a criminal offense, ICE will still partner with local law enforcement in order to pull those individuals over. But we know that that is significant because so many of these deadly ICE encounters that we have witnessed over the past 2 weeks and then earlier in Minneapolis have involved a car. And we just know that law enforcement, those interactions that occur around a vehicle pursuit or a car tend to be deadlier. So we are seeing a temporary pause there. ICE says that it is going to instate more training around vehicle stops and pursuits. We don't know what that looks like yet. We don't know how long this temporary pause will be, but that is significant. And then as Lilia mentioned, moving forward, ICE has also said that they will have at least one agent or officer with a body camera in every arrest team nationwide. And beyond that, after we saw the lethal Houston shooting, we heard a commitment from the Department of Homeland Security to roll out body cameras to all of its field offices in the next 60 days. And quickly, Adriana, just to answer your first question, I mean, we have seen a slow roll of body cameras really over the past several administrations. Now, I will say the appropriations for these specific body cameras, $20 million, did come in April after, a long DHS government shutdown. And the Department of Homeland Security is saying that that shutdown, made it such that they couldn't procure and roll out all of the body cameras nationwide. But we do expect to see officers and agents wearing those body cameras in the next 60 days, and we will be following up on that.
So, Nicole, we've seen these deadly ICE shootings before. Obviously, Alex Preddy, Renee Good. The question that I think that a lot of people have on their minds is what kind of training are these individuals going through? I know that you've done some reporting on that. Who are the people that are being recruited into ICE? We know that they made a big push to recruit new trainees to the program at the start of the year. A lot of people wonder what their political leanings are because it feels to a lot of folks who are in the midst of all of these, you see the people out there protesting, that there's something that's changed in the way that ICE is approaching their enforcement operations. And it's not just because the president is suggesting that he wants to go after people who are here criminally, but it just feels like there's a rush in many instances to pull a weapon when you didn't see this level of, you didn't see Americans and people who are non-citizens but who are here legally being killed like this.
I think the training question is super important. Now, every ICE official goes through the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center. Now, the training, I mean, it's not just that people think that the training has changed. The training did change for a period of time. Back when Secretary Noem had a recruitment push within ICE, training went from 13 to 15 weeks to about 8 weeks. They compressed that timeline in order to recruit, several thousand new ICE officials. Since then, Secretary Markwayne Mullin has sort of wound that back. And we're going to see the sort of traditional 13 to 15 week training at the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center beginning on July 7th. So this is actually something that has already happened. That being said, everyone within ICE has to go through firearms training, and they have to refresh that training every single year. Now, there has been some concern, in addition, that because ICE launched its training program to try to incentivize other law enforcement officers to join ICE who might have law enforcement experience but who have not dealt specifically with immigration enforcement, we did see a program that primarily trained and onboarded those former law enforcement officials through just an online course that took just a few weeks. So there are some concerns about how much training those individuals have had and whether or not their training is specifically geared towards civil immigration enforcement, which, by the way, is a lot different than carrying out, criminal arrests in cities nationwide as a member of a police organization or another federal law enforcement agency. So those concerns continue. We have seen some signs from this Department of Homeland Security. The question of why now, I think Secretary Mark Wayne Mullen has in some ways acknowledged that there is some sort of training change that needs to occur, though it remains to be seen exactly what that looks like, Vlad.
All right, Nicole Sganga reporting from Washington for us. Nicole, thank you.
Mexico's asking the U.S. state attorneys general to criminally investigate the deaths of migrants in ICE custody and during raids. Since the start of President Trump's second term, 14 Mexican migrants have died while in detainment. 3 have died during agency operations. Earlier on CBS Morning News, Democratic Congressman Jesus Chuy Garcia of Illinois referenced the deaths of migrants detained by ICE while sharply rebuking the agency.
As long as ICE continues to operate the way that they have, wearing masks, not utilizing warrants, continuing enforcement in sensitive locations, and clearly engaging in crass racial profiling on steroids, there can be no trust. Over 50 people have died in immigration detention over the past year. This is intolerable. This should not be happening.
The congressman went on to say he believes ICE needs to be, quote, dismantled and rebuilt from the ground up.